Welcome to the Bringing the Human Back to Human Resources podcast, the podcast all about the delicate balance between people and business, and quite literally reconnecting the two. My name is Tracy Rubin, and I've spent nearly my entire professional career in HR. Join me as I share stories, opinions, and words of advice with you each week. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bringing the Human Back to Human Resources podcast. Thank you so much for being here for another week. You know the drill. Don't forget, rate, review, subscribe. If you are listening to this episode on Spotify, guess what? You can watch it. Every episode at this point is basically a video episode. I would say 99% of them. I think there was one a few weeks ago where I just could not be on camera. And so I did audio only. But anyway, I don't know. I've heard a lot of feedback that those of you who do watch podcasts on Spotify or YouTube have really been enjoying being able to connect by the visual and being able to see me like look at the camera and talk to you in this way. So, you know, if that's your speed, then yeah, go for it. Love it. This week, you know, I actually walked into this week's recording not being 100% sure of what I wanted to talk about. I feel like, you know, it's the summer, and I think that podcast consumption is not the priority because everyone's living their best life, being outside, being active, spending time with family, friends, whomever, or just by yourself. Again, living your best life, whatever that means to you. And so I was like, well, what should I talk about? Like, what's going on in the world today with HR? And then I realized, well, maybe it's just a slow news summer. I don't know, at least for HR stuff. And of course, there's always the information about, you know, unions and people being disgruntled and the Great Resignation. But I am tired of talking about the Great Resignation. I'm tired of talking about COVID. I'm getting all of these alerts from like NBC News and everything because I still get New York News saying that the COVID rates are going back up. And I'm like, no, I thought we were getting away from this. And truthfully, like when my parents and we were speaking on the phone and I had mentioned that, you know, the mask mandate in New York City is back on and for indoor everything, that when you're inside, you have to be wearing a mask. And my parents, we were like talking about it and I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I can't talk about this anymore. I'm done. I gotta hang up the phone. And I realized that I am just totally at my wit's end talking about this. And I think it is because I had dealt with the HR side of COVID for literally every single day straight through 365 days times 2. How many days is that? Hold on. Let me grab my calculator. 365 times 2. Literally 730 days, if not more, while I was still in retail. And I am still tired. So I was like, again, coming into this episode, I was like, what am I going to talk about? It cannot be COVID. So we're not talking about COVID, okay? Instead, I wanted to talk about something that I actually recently posted on LinkedIn. And you guys know, if you've been here a little while, you know I ebb and flow with my love-hate relationship for social media. I am on the hate side of the swing set of the playground, okay? I am, or what's that thing called? Oh, a seesaw? Is it a seesaw, the thing that you go up and down? I think so. I'm on the hate side of the seesaw. And maybe a month ago, I was on the love side. I was like, oh, all these videos, love it. Everybody's living their best lives. And now I'm like, oh, hate it. So I really haven't been active on LinkedIn. I've not been very active pretty much anywhere. I posted a reel or something a couple weeks ago. But anyway, my point here is that I have been waking up at least like notably one day last week with minimal energy. And I don't know if my body is adjusting to being in a new city, not being near friends and family. I don't know. But I recently posted on LinkedIn, again, kind of in this love-hate relationship with it, saying I was drained of energy at this one point last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago already at this point. And I thought that this would be the perfect discussion point for this week's episode because I am sure I am not alone. There is a lot going on in the world and a lot to be desired. And I feel like this is where the hate side of social media for me comes in because I do feel like it drains my energy. And yet, what do? I wake up in the morning, I open my phone, and I check Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Why? I have absolutely no reason to. I'm not even active on Facebook. I'm like semi-active on Instagram. And all I do on TikTok is look at dogs, living their best lives with their owners. If I say living their best lives one more time, I'm not even going to edit this out because it is okay for me to be normal and argue with myself in a recording. Anyway, I digress. So that's all I do on TikTok. I just watch videos of dogs and then whatever comes up, with cooking, whatever else. But it just drains me. And then you see, videos, people saying story time, blah, 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 blah. It's like, why do I actually care? Because their story has no effect on my life. And actually, the thing they're talking about, the thing they lived through is actually not even relevant to me. And yet, I'm still sitting here spending 3 minutes of my life watching and listening to someone's side of the story that I'm not even sure is true for someone that I don't know. And yet, I'm still consuming this content. And I'm sure as I speak about this and my phone is right next to me, then I'm just going to open the app and get a story time for something, again, that is irrelevant to my life. And so I'm ranting to myself and also to you all because I had this revelation that I was totally absent of energy at this one point last week. And listen, I love my job. I love my life. I love what I'm doing. I love the podcast. Everything's great, right? But I just woke up feeling so depleted. And I decided that the next day, because the whole day I was like, oh my God, I have no energy. What am I going to do? And it's like such a miserable, and I actually was in a bad mood. Like I know myself very well. I'm very self-aware. And I refrained from speaking to people unless I absolutely had to, just because like I just was not feeling it. And I know I'm not alone in this. But I decided, because I am a very optimistic person and I don't like being in a bad mood. It just is totally crappy. But I decided that the next day I would wake up and do things differently. So I woke up and I did watch TikTok, but only for 30 minutes. And I was like, I literally yelled at myself in bed. I was like, what are you doing? Stop scrolling. So I did that. I stopped scrolling. I got up. I went to the gym. And I made some coffee, I made some breakfast, and I turned on I can't say the name of it, but it's the thing that a major company sells to play music and turn on your TV. If I say it, she'll start speaking, but you know what I'm talking about. So I turned on the speaker, you know what I'm saying? And I put on music, and I used my standing desk all day. And when I tell you, actually, I didn't make coffee. That is incorrect. I went to Starbucks and I got an iced red eye. Doing those things, even though they're super small and like standing at a standing desk is good for your health and getting outside is good for you and all of those things, I actively changed my mindset. And I decided that I was not going to have a repeat of that day because I just felt terrible by the end of the day. And I don't want to be that person. And I didn't want to feel that way again. And it totally changed the way that I felt. It changed the way that I worked. It changed the way that I, ended my day and interacted with people too. And I was really glad to know that I had that ability to just actively change the way that I kind of interacted with society and behaved. So I thought that I would talk about that today because I do think that it is normal to feel like you're stuck in a rut, even if everything is perfect and your life is great and you wouldn't change anything. And there's nothing that's, making you feel like you need to change something, but maybe it's just like a day or a week or a month where you're just not feeling it. And I want to make sure that we talk about that because it is normal. And two, and actually that's why there are so many TikToks on people feeling this way because it is normal. And the second thing too is that in HR, we are often the ones to kind of bear the burden of a lot of things, right? Whether it's cultural things or difficult situations or conflict resolution, whatever it is. So when I think about, how this is super normal and why I was like so not here to talk about anything related to COVID because I'm just totally done. I know for a fact that there are other HR people out there who are just totally over it. And I've read a lot recently about like on Reddit threads and different things like that. And I don't ever interact. I just read because I don't have a Reddit account and I don't know, I don't plan on making one. I've read a lot that people are kind of thinking about giving up their HR careers. And I get it. I probably was there, before when I was dealing with all this COVID stuff and it was just becoming so much to manage, and working basically every single day is exhausting. And so these HR professionals are saying, I'm burning out. I don't want to work in HR anymore. I've got to do something else. And it makes me sad because this is an amazing career. And I think that if just even 20% of those people worked, at least maybe tried, and I don't want to assume that they didn't, but tried to change their mindset actively just for one day. I just wonder if those people would still want to tap out of the HR career. And so again, I don't want to assume that people in these situations where they're burnt out from HR, I don't want to assume that they have not tried to actively change their mindset or that things are all great in their lives. I'm certainly not assuming that. But I do think in general, whether you love your life or you hate it or you've got good things going on or you don't, there's, in my opinion, always an opportunity to have a mindset that enables productivity, optimism, gratitude, and all of those things. Because I do think that that is all a mindset. Like I know people who are negative, or as they would call themselves, realistic. Or for me, I realize I'm stumbling a little bit here. It's just negative. And I do think that you can change your mindset. I don't think that people have to be negative. And I've definitely, in that job that you all have heard me talk about where I was only there for 3 months, I was negative because I had tried the optimistic route and I was trying to do the very best that I could do. And yet I couldn't deal. And so I would come home, and I think I might have talked about this on a podcast episode in the past, but I would come home and I would just totally be a miserable person to be around. And that is no fun. Like I had just gotten married. My husband was like, what's going on? You're not being yourself. And so yes, it is totally possible to be negative, and that is also totally normal. But considering that I have experienced that type of mindset and I had to actively change it, I do think you can actively change your mindset. And if you are in a place or a space where you're feeling negative or you're feeling like, things just aren't going the way that you want them to go or the way that you expected them to go, first try to see the best in every situation. Try to find the silver lining. Try that. And, if you can't find it, it's probably just not the right place for you, which is how I ended up leaving after 3 months again in that old job. And I think it's probably still one of the most important lessons that I learned, that, even though I tried to change my mindset, it just wasn't the right fit for me, and that's okay. And you can call it as you see it. And so I know I've shared this before with all of you on a previous episode, but this, almost like revelation for me, where I was depleted of energy for really no clear reason. I just had to snap out of it. And I didn't complain about it. I wasn't saying to people, I'm in such a bad mood. I just posted on LinkedIn saying, like, this is how I was feeling. And and I think I shared a poll, what do you do to improve your energy? And people were talking about what they do and saying that they use caffeine and music and everything that they can to improve their energy. And so rather than complaining about it and sulking in it and feeling that way for a number of days, I actively changed my mindset. So, I think coming off of the back end of last week's episode with Jasmine Romaine and realizing that you can just be exactly who you are in order to be a world changer, in order to have an impact on people and the world around you, this, again, it's all a mindset, right? If we believe in ourselves, if we believe that we can do more than we're currently doing or than what we're doing today, then, the world is our oyster. We can do whatever we want. We could do whatever we put our minds to. So I hope that if you are someone confronted with your own reality, that maybe you're not feeling it, maybe you've thought about leaving the HR career, maybe this is a sign that you just have to take a break, go on a little trip or a staycation, do something within your budget just take a walk outside and do something to actively change your mindset. And you might not be able to do that today. Like, you might just need to feel it. If you're in a bad mood, just feel it, live in it, breathe it. It's fine. Take it, take it in, and maybe warn people that you're in a bad mood so that you don't put others in a bad mood. Anyway, live it, feel it, and then wake up the next day with the intention to have a better day and to have a different experience. And obviously everyone's going to go through something different. And, some people are going through things that maybe don't allow them to really just actively change their mindset to have a better day tomorrow. But I do think that there is always a little bit of room for us to improve our lives and our experiences, starting with ourselves. So, that's the episode. That I just wanted to rant a little bit, get something, get some of this off of my brain. And actually, strangely enough, it's given me a little bit more energy today just to talk about this. And actually, I didn't mention this in the beginning. This is my 90th episode. In 10 episodes, I'll have hit 100 episodes of this podcast. I've never missed a week. And I started this in 2020, and I just cannot believe it. So when we get to the 104th episode, that will mark 2 full years of the podcast. I'm telling you, that's crazy. Wow. First of all, I'm just so grateful that you're all here listening to me ramble about nonsense or something really helpful to you. Depends on where you are in your life. But I also am just really grateful that we've been able to do this for 90 weeks. Holy smokes, that's insane. I definitely have big plans. I'm trying to get these big plans in motion. So anyway, stay tuned, because I really hope to keep the ball rolling and hopefully bring some interesting new things to your lives. We'll see. I have thoughts in my mind, and I just have to put pen to paper, so to speak. But other than that, I would love if you followed me on Instagram. My handle is HR Tracy. Of course, that's Tracy with an I, so HRTRACI. And, connect with me, reach out. I always answer my DMs unless you're spam. So, if as long as it's not a spam message, you will get a reply from me. It means a lot to me when I'm able to connect with all of you individually. And some of you reach out on LinkedIn, which is also amazing. So, I know that I mentioned I have this love-hate relationship, but the part that I love is connecting with all of you individually. And I actually did catch up on all of the LinkedIn messages that I was so neglectful of. So you can absolutely still reach me and connect with me there. And I also have an email, podcast@hrtracy.com. So if you'd love to connect, I'd also love to connect. And with that, I hope that you have an incredible rest of your week. And again, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, share with a friend. And if this helped you in any way, please let me know. If you have some tricks of the trade to improving your energy or ways that you actively adjust your mindset if you're feeling like a little bit stuck, let me know. I would love to be able to share that if you'd allow me. So again, reach out on LinkedIn, Instagram, or by email, and I will speak to you next week.